Hey guys, welcome back to a new Photoshop tutorial. I'm Andre, and today I'm going to show you how I made this simple manipulation in Photoshop. I want to show you how I created this burnt effect. It's really easy, and you can download the stock photos that I used for this on psdbox.com. If you watch this from YouTube, you'll find the link on the video description, and if you're watching this from the website, you'll find it somewhere on the article. Usually it's at the top. So I hope you will like it, and let's get started. So before we start, I want to apologize for the audio. For this video I don't have my microphone, so I'm using the integrated microphone on my iMac, so sorry for that. So let's get started. We're going to start with this image. This is a picture that I took myself. This is me against the wall. That's it. And we're going to start by opening that photo and then this one. So this is what we're going to use to create that burnt effect. And as I said, it's really easy. I'm going to close this and paste this image over the image of myself. And I'm going to drop the opacity because I want to see the edges of this. And I'm going to place it right there, maybe. And I'm going to press enter to accept the change. And we're going to use a copy of this. Let's name this burn, and let's name this one texture. I'm going to hide the texture for a second, and I'm going to use the magic wand tool to select the white space. Make sure you select everything because there's some hidden areas like this one over here. So make sure you select everything. And I'm gonna create a layer mask by pressing Alt and clicking the layer mask icon. If you just press the layer mask icon, you will create an inverted layer mask. So press Alt, you will just create a normal. So if you press Alt, you will create an inverted layer mask, which is what we need here. And I'm gonna clean the image a bit with the brush tool. I'm gonna delete some parts with 100% strength. There, you will see that on the original I also removed this part over here. I'm gonna leave it here for now. But you can actually create two layers. So after you're done with this, here you can change this, for example, this texture, and add real flesh or skin or whatever, or the ribs if you want. It's really up to you. So once you create the copy, make sure you don't move them. So if necessary, just select both of them and choose link layers. That way, if you move one of them, you will move both because we need them to be one on top of the other. And once we're done with this, we're going to leave this layer mask as it is, and I'm going to hide the burn layer. And the texture layer, which has nothing, I did nothing on it. I'm going to change the blend mode of this one to multiply. And the reason why I'm doing this is because on this texture layer, the only thing that I need is this texture here that touches the burning texture there. And this one, which is on normal, the only thing that I need from this is this ash to be visible, and that's it. But let's go step by step. Let's select the texture layer, and I'm going to create the layer mask for it. And now I'm going to select the brush tool, and we're going to use a soft brush like this one, and just brush like that. Be careful on the edges, so when you get to the edges, make the brush smaller like that. And now I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I'm going to make the brush smaller. I'm using the keyboard shortcuts to make the brush smaller. I think the default ones are the bracket keys, but I'm also using the graphics tablet. So I want to have my left hand on the left side of the keyboard, so I changed the keyboard to make the brush bigger and smaller to the Q and W keys because it's more accessible for me. And once you get really close to the edge, drop the opacity. Let's say 30 and 50 or 30 and 40. You can change the opacity and the flow. I mentioned this on other tutorials that I made, but I want to mention it again in case there's someone new that don't know how I'm doing this. with the numeric keypad, or well, with the numbers on your keyboard, you can change the opacity. If you select a tool that has opacity and flow, for example the brush tool, if you press the 6 key on the keyboard, check the opacity field here, you can see it changes to 60. For the flow, if you type 0, it's going to, if you want to change it to 100%, you can type 0 and it goes to 100%. The same for the flow, but you have to press the shift key also. So if I press and hold the shift key and I press 5, you can see the flow goes to 50. If I want to put it on 100, you can press 0 and it goes to 100%. So it's all quicker than using doing it manually. So as I said, 30 and let's say 40. That's because I want to blend the texture with the skin. Remember, I don't care too much about that burnt part. I just want the texture to blend in with the skin. Don't remove too much of the texture when you get to the dark part. So if you want, use a bigger brush and just paint with the edge of it, with the soft edge of the brush. I'm using a graphics tablet, but you can do it with the mouse, because as you can see I don't have the pen pressure on, so it doesn't matter if you're doing it with the mouse. You have the same control as long as you drop the opacity. So that's okay, that looks great. Now we need to remove this part of the burnt layer, and we're going to use this layer mask. But before we do that, let's make the hole here on the body, because we need that hole. So let's control click on the burnt layer mask, and I have to invert it. So you can go to select invert, or use the keyboard, which is Control Shift I, and now go to the layer 0 on the one with the body and create the layer mask. Of course you have to create it inverted, and that way you have an identical hole on the burn layer and on the body. So now we can select, control click on the texture layer on the layer mask and go to the burn layer now, invert the selection again and fill this with black with control with alt backspace or option backspace, and that way we remove everything. You can do it manually if you want, because we have to remove even more from here. So with the brush tool, come here and just remove that. Oops, too much. I removed too much of it. Because remember, the texture, we have it on the layer that's underneath, so that's the only thing we need. Especially here, we need to remove that. I'm doing it a bit quick because I don't want to make the tutorial too long, so you can do it more carefully yourself. And now that we have this, here on the background you can put whatever you want. I use this this cardboard box. Save that. I'm going to put it below this body layer, and let's make it like that. Maybe you can place like whatever you want, a different world, someone that's crying inside, whatever. It's really easy to go creative with this. And on this layer, which I'll name box, I'm going to create a curves on top of it, and I'm going to make it really dark. You can see it also saturates the image. You can change this to luminosity if you want, but well, it's really up to you. You can also leave it to normal and then drop the saturation on the cardboard image. And now I'm going to create some shadows on a new layer with a soft brush. Opacity, I like to work with low opacities because that way I can build up the effect. 30 and 40 is okay. With a soft brush and a black color, I'm gonna paint some shadows. Make sure the shadow that's really on the edges, it's stronger than on the, it's like a vignette, like a strong vignette effect. So, yeah. And that's pretty much it. On the burn layer, I'm gonna drop I'm gonna make it darker with levels. I'm gonna do something like that, and probably desaturate this a bit. You can see I'm using this destructive techniques now because I want to go faster, but here on the body I'm gonna use some hue saturation as well, clipped, and drop the saturation a bit, and then some curves just to increase a bit the contrast, but saturation is too high, so I'm gonna lower it, something like that. And there on this background there I placed the text. I used it several times in many of my manipulations. I like it a lot, and I'm gonna get this and I'm gonna paste it on top of there, but above the curves because the curves is gonna make it too dark. And I'm gonna make it smaller, and I'm gonna change the blend mode to multiply. Now you can see that the edges are still visible, and that's because the photo is underexposed. I'm gonna press Ctrl Command L. This will open the levels, and you can see this gap here on the histogram. That means there's no highlights on the image. And if you move this to the left, you will see that the edges go away almost. You can use an eraser maybe to make sure that the edges are gone. Hi. Okay, so that's looking nice. I want to desaturate the blood a bit, so I'm gonna press Ctrl U to load the hue saturation and desaturate this a bit. I also placed a flame there and some blood, but you can do that. Well, let's add the flame and that's it. I'm gonna copy this like that. I think I got this image from unsplash.com. I don't remember. And I'm gonna place it above everything here and then change the blend mode to multiply, to screen, sorry, because the background is black and with the screen blend mode it goes away. And you can see it fits pretty nice in there. So with the layer mask, the only thing I will have to do is just remove this part over here. And let's make sure we use a smaller brush over here. And that's it. As you can see, I didn't refine the mask here on this burnt part, but you can do it if you want to get a better result. And that's it, that's the effect. The only thing that I did next is, I think I used the camera raw filter, but you can use other, like maybe gradient maps, just to give it a different tone. Say, well, let's leave it on normal and drop the opacity a bit. And then maybe some curves to create a split tone effect. Like that, and I don't know, maybe some brightness and contrast. I don't like that. I want to add an exposure, and I'm gonna increase the offset just a bit. It'll create this sort of faded effect. And probably with the curves, I'm gonna darken everything a bit more. But it's too saturated. Well, anyway, that's really, the final effect is really up to you and the color tone that you want to give to this. That's the effect. I hope you like it. You can do a better job on integrating this. I would probably have to desaturate this a bit more. You can see it stands out a little more. Here it looks a lot better, but here I did it really quick. And this part over here, you can remove it. It will actually make things look better, I think. But that's how I created this. I hope you liked it. If you're a premium member, you can download the PSD and you can see each layer, how I did this. But really there's no too much difference from what I did on this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and you can upload your photos and use the hashtag PSDbox on Instagram or Facebook. And that way I can find your images and I can see what you've done with this tutorial. See you next time.